Hey guys, I did this video once just before, and then I don't know, something happened near part of the video, so I hope it all comes out right again. You know how that goes. I've had this on my mind. I want to do a response video talking about the Mars Volta, and I feel like it's been on my mind lately because I've been listening to that new album, Tourniquet, which you know, finally from hearing, I think Rob's review really gave me the push I needed to like burn the CD and get around to spending time on it. But let me start. I do have a history with the Mars Volta. I can't believe how long it's been anyway. Seeing that they're like a decade or more, they've been around, and 6 albums, I'm just like, man, time flies by. When I got into them, it was when The Louds first came out, which is why I'm playing in the background because I revisited it recently to see how it held up. It held up well, but it still doesn't feel, it doesn't, it's a great album, but it's just not enough for me to consider it one of my top albums. Anyway, The Louds is a great album. So here's the thing: I listened to At the Drive-In before The Louds came out, but only for a couple of years, and it was mainly In Casino Out, and the one that was shown to me was Relationship of Command, and I loved Relationship of Command. I mean, that's a classic to me. Now, when The Louds came out, it was such a big deal to me. And like everyone I was with, like I was in a band and all of us were obsessed with The Louds. There's a girl I was dating and I got her into The Louds. It was just like, I think everyone around that time when they came out had like that Mars Volta, you know, fever because that album was just like blowing people's minds away. And it's a great album. Now we went to go see them perform in New York in the city during that The Louds tour, and I wasn't really happy with the performance. It bored me at times. I thought they went off into tangents and didn't really keep a tight, you know, cohesive set. Meanwhile, I never saw the Rapture before, and that's what got me into the Rapture because they opened up and they blew me away. Now, then with Francis the Mute, I loved Francis the Mute when it came out, but Francis the Mute became an album where a year and a half or so later, or maybe even more than that, a couple of years later, when I was revisiting it during my college years, my early college years, I was revisiting Francis the Mute, and it really blew me away on a whole other level. And I think maybe I listened to different music, and maybe my mind and my music taste expanded and matured a bit between those two albums. But when I revisited it, between the time when Francis came out and when I revisited Francis, I remember declaring myself. I used to blast in my car, my road trips back and forth between Long Island and upstate New York, my college days, and I would just go crazy with it. And I remember just thinking to myself and declaring that like this is their top album right now. Like at that time, I think Amphitexture was out. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was just listening to it the other day. I was just revisiting, skipping through the tracks before. I realized I'm not really familiar with Amphitexture that much. It was just never one I got into. So that was that time when I got into Francis the Mute and realized I thought it was their best was when Amphitexture was out. Now, it seems like I'm not sure where people stand, Mars Volta fans stand on Amphitexture versus Bedlam and Goliath, but I did have Bedlam and Goliath burned for my car the last couple of years, and I've listened to it sometimes, so I remember being familiar with songs. Now looking back and listening to it, only up until like halfway through the album in Bedlam and Goliath do I really remember listening to the songs and being okay and like down with it. And the second half, I don't think I ever listened to completely. And the reason why is I feel like they don't keep my attention enough. They put out albums that are these long albums and they don't really keep me interested. I feel like it just becomes sort of very similar in the songs. I mean, a lot of bands can have that issue, I guess, but I just feel like it's something that with their sound is very easily a problem for them. I mean, I think the way Bedlam and Goliath comes in with that first song is ridiculously good, but I don't care enough about revisiting Amphitexture or Bedlam and Goliath. Now, Octahedron, I just totally missed it. Totally went over my head. I don't think I was even paying attention, and I was just doing other stuff and listening to other stuff, and it wasn't even on my radar when it came out. I saw that it was only a year after Bedlam, which is interesting, and 3 years from the last album till now. But I find it interesting. I want to know people's thoughts on Octahedron because Now, because of my opinions on the new album, I actually want to go back and revisit it, because I think they say that a lot of reviews that fans, even though there's some harder stuff in there, Cedric said it's sort of like the popish album for them. And that there's a lot more ballads on it, and a lot of Mars Volta fans aren't really as down with it. And to be honest with you, I think that that's actually a part of Mars Volta that I always found that was very good and interesting about them. Like when they, on Deloused and in Francis the Mute, when they go into this high point where they hit the top point of their, you know, craziness and their neo-prog madness, and then they let it go and stop and let it drop, and then you start hearing, you know, these riffs. Now here's the thing, you can either go nowhere and be random noodling wankery, which I'm not down with the guitar playing, but I feel like Francis the Mute and Deloused was very cohesive with their guitar playing in those open parts where there was atmosphere and lots of looseness. And I feel like a lot of like the softer emotion of Mars Volta comes out, like the breakdown in Roulette Dares when it lets it go out there. I think that's a great thing. I feel like maybe Octahedron seems to me like, without ever hearing it before, seems to me like it might be something that might fill my need for that type of style and that side of them. But anyway, so this new album, I just want to revisit it. Now, coming to Tourniquet, I think that Tourniquet is a great direction for this band to go in. I believe that it's, you know, being that the longest song is In Absentia at 7.5 minutes, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's funny, you can hear a Mars Volta song where it's 4 or 5 minutes long, like any other normal song would be, but like you'll be shocked there's only 5 minutes because they had so much going on in it, and that's cool too. I believe that they've been able to, with this album, they're heading in the right direction of trying to make a more cohesive sound of what it is that they do best, and trying to hopefully get rid of just the random noodling and the random things that just go on for way too long. The fact that it's 1 hour is something I can enjoy. I think that this band could be a band that can actually do a lot more and make some more classic albums, to be honest with you. If they have an album that sort of has this type of style of Tourniquet, I would like to see a Mars Volta album that comes out that's 10 songs, 40 to 45 minutes, where every single song counts. That's where I think that they'll actually do best. But I think I'm a very big fan. One of the things I love most about this album, that I think a lot of people see me talking about, is I think that the use of the electronics is a lot cool. It's very, very cool and fits them. When I heard the opening song, The Whip Hand, and it went into that little sound of the chorus, I was like, man, this is good. Robert, since I'm making this a response video for you, which I'm hoping you're cool with, since you're the one that did the only like review on it, I did pay attention. I was excited to hear Empty Vessels, since you loved it so much, and it was in the background, and that's what caught my attention in the background of your video also, was Empty Vessels playing. I think Empty Vessels is the sound that I like with Mars Volta, that they can experiment with the verse and the really pretty guitar playing from Omar. But then again, my other opinion of that song is that the loud parts of it, where they sort of rock out a bit more, I don't feel like they've mixed well together. I feel like the softer parts of Empty Vessels, and later on the song with the bridge where it's a lot bit louder, I just don't feel like they connect. I feel like maybe they should stay mellow throughout a whole song and really jam on those really pretty parts rather than having to go loud sometimes. I thought the single, The Mock and Jewel, was really cool. I thought it was a nice, I think it's a nice, cool transition to go from Empty Vessels into Mock and Jewel, from that like nice, prettier sound to this reggae type of vibe, and it's different for them, and I like that. I think In Absentia, I don't know, I'm going to revisit this album more, and I think people were saying that every time they listen to this album they actually find new things, and I like that. I just don't think In Absentia really does it for me for the first half of the song, where it's just a lot of like reverb, and I feel the second half, when they sort of let it jam out a bit more, it's more enjoyable, but I feel like the whole song needs a little bit of work as well. I know at the end I heard some song, can't think off the top of my head, there were some songs where I just really heard that sound, that side I'm talking about, with the more emotional, prettier side of Mars Volta being perfected. So bottom line is, I think this album is a good album. I think in terms of their growth from album to album, being more familiar with the first two and a bit familiar with Bedlam, and not knowing Octahedron, but the idea here of what Octahedron is about with the ballady side of them, and then going into this, I feel like they're getting more into a sense of direction that could possibly lead to putting out an album that can have a classic status like D-Loud's. Like, in my opinion, after hearing this, I can see that these guys in their next 2 or 3 albums, that they're still putting them out, I can see them putting an album out that can meet the level of Francis the Mute, but in a different light, where this is them at their wildest and tightest, and this is them at their most cohesive and tightest, and it's just as good. So that's how I'm feeling. But Robert, thanks for giving me the push to get the CD and listen to it. And yeah, I think everyone should give this some more listens. If you didn't really enjoy it the first times, I think it might do more for you. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's not an album that's completely great all throughout. Like I said, they can cut it down, but the songs that are really great are really great. And the songs that aren't needed are, you know, they're not the worst, but they can just be tossed as well. So, you know, in all, good job for Mars Volta. I would, after this, I would like to see what they have next, and that's the bottom line. That's what's important for a fan, right? So, everyone, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.